Welcome back to the Grab Some Popcorn podcast. Your host, Jared and Emmanuel here to bring you movie news, movie reviews, and all around movie topic. Like, subscribe, and comment on whichever platform you're listening to this episode on. And be sure to check out the previous episodes if you're listening for the first time. All right, so here we are, episode 7. All right, so this episode, I wanted to try something different. My co-host Emmanuel here pitched a great idea for me for this episode, and we're taking a look at our dream movies. All right, if we were able to make up a movie, this is the movie that we would pitch to the movie studio. So let's get the listeners engaged a little bit on this one. All right. So Hollywood, as we know it, there are several genres. We've got horror, we've got action, we've got rom-com, sci-fi, westerns, all different types of movies. All right. So we wanted to come up with our own movies. And first, let's see, Emmanuel, what movie did you come up with? Let me get the name of the movie, and let me get the genre of the movie.
All right, so the name might have to workshop it, but it's going to be something along the lines of called A Loser's Life.
All right, interesting title, A Loser's Life. I hope this isn't an autobiography, Emmanuel.
Oh, I don't know about that, but it is I guess the genre, you could say it'll be like a drama with a little suspense or something like that. Definitely not a comedy or an action or anything.
So this is gonna be a serious movie. So what's the core premise here? What is it about, and what makes it unique?
All right, well, yeah, let me tell you about it. So I was thinking of making a movie that goes behind the scenes of a, quote, loser's life. Not like American Pie, where it's like a happy ending and everything's cool. This one's going to go into like the dark side of it, the unhappy side, like the depression, the anxiety. You'll go into what some of the friends and people around this guy do and stuff like that. They go into the psychology, the hate, the drugs, the really dark, the cheating, the lying, the dark underbelly of being a quote unquote loser. It'd be like American Pie, but you'll see the friends doing mean pranks, the cock blocking, the hating, the hazing, all that kind of stuff. Not, not American Pie comedy stuff, but like the real, some of the real stuff that happens. It'll be like real dark, real dramatic, suspenseful type of movie where you see how people are singled out and manipulated and lied to and cheated and all that.
So is this movie, it focuses on multiple people, or it focuses on like one person's life?
I mean, I haven't really went into that kind of depth on it. It's just a general overview, but I was thinking like basically you have like the one main character, or maybe a few main characters that are getting singled out, and that group, how like in high school you have that, either that guy or that group who's like the outcast or whatever. That's who it's about.
Okay. And you mentioned having a couple characters in the movie. Who would you cast in this movie? Like, who's your dream casting for this movie? Tell me some names, and like, what role would they play in the movie? What would their role be?
So I was thinking to have not really a known cast for the main characters. I was thinking just have some characters that nobody really knows about, and maybe like the parents, or some secondary characters. Those could be, some people that we know about. I don't really have any names per se, but I don't really have anybody in mind really, but those could be some, better known people, but they would have only secondary parts in the film.
Is this like, and when does this movie take place? Is this like a modern day movie? Is it set in the 90s, the 80s? What time period are you?
It could be modern day. Like, yeah, they could have smartphones and modern cars. Like, it doesn't really, the time doesn't matter. What's important is like understanding the psychology of someone who's considered a loser. It'll go into like, you'll see things inside that person's mind that, they don't think they're a loser, or maybe they know that they're not like popular for sure, but it'll go behind the scenes as to how that happens, like the friends around you, your environment, kind of the things that happen when you're in that sort of psychological state. That's what's most important. The setting and all that, that could workshop. We could workshop that.
So how does this movie end? Like, is there a happy ending? Is it a sad ending? Does he get some type of retribution, or like?
I definitely think, like, I believe that every loser, quote unquote loser, has that person who's like working against them. Like nobody just becomes like a loser. They're not born this way. What happens is your environment, your surroundings. People, they start hating on you. They haze you. They spread rumors, all that type of stuff starts happening. So I believe there's always like this one driving force that's driving the negative energy towards someone. And I think at the end of this movie, I'd want the guy or the group of people to figure out who it is, like who's causing them all this drama. And I do want there to be a resolution, meaning I think something horrible happens. Like I think like maybe the guy like shoots someone in the end, or something very dramatic and suspenseful happens, and you're just like, oh, okay.
When you say the guy shoots someone at the end, are you talking about like the main character, the loser, like he shoots someone at the end?
Yeah, he gets the retribution. He gets revenge, as you might say.
Right. And if this movie were to get a sequel, what would the sequel like? What would happen in the sequel? Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting question. So I think maybe the sequel could show that same guy, maybe not in high school or college, but kind of show him, already when he's like in his career, in his like, kind of later on in life, and maybe the same sort of things start happening, but just instead of with like his high school friends or his like, his college buddies or whatever, this will be like happening again to him, but just like people from work or people from a religious, people later on in life, kind of, again, the same thing starts happening to him. And I think that would be a good sequel.
Who do you think this movie is for? Like, what type of audience do you think would enjoy this movie?
It's definitely not like a mainstream popular. It's definitely not like, what I'm saying? I don't think this movie would be made to hit mainstream media in theaters and make like $1 billion. This movie is for those people who like those, the art house films. They like the films like the A24, the side films, the films that might not even make it to theater.
Where would you shoot this movie at? Like, where was was this like in a city, suburb, small town? Where's the location of this movie?
Yeah, I haven't thought that deep. I just kind of what I was thinking about is just the psychological aspect, like the how it could basically what happens during the movie to drive this person to want to like shoot someone or do something horrible. That's kind of like mostly focusing on that type of stuff. It could be shot anywhere. I would think a regular city, just like a regular big city would be a, decent place to shoot.
Okay. All right. This sounds like a movie I would definitely be interested in going to see. For me, I wanted to do like, I love horror movies. I wanted to do, make like a horror movie, but, I kind of wanted it to be focused on bugs. So like I would do the first, the movie that I thought of is called Roaches, but it's Roaches with a Z at the end. Like everyone's familiar with roaches. I'm sure everyone's at least seen a roach, especially if you live in Houston, but they're everywhere. Or even New York. They're in New York for sure. I definitely saw roaches back at home in New York, in the subways and everywhere. But I feel like that would be a really good horror movie. Like the premise of the movie would basically be It's kind of cliche, but just, like one of those big scientific companies doing some experiment that goes wrong, and then the water supply gets contaminated and the roaches get infected, and maybe something like that. They think it's all cleared up, but the roaches have already been infected. So now you've got like all these roaches basically like swarming and attacking people and infecting them, and then that spreads the virus out. And yeah, something along the lines of that is what I would go with. I think the tone of the movie would be like a dark type movie, but also have some like comedy in there. I don't want to say it's like a horror comedy, but there's definitely be some comedic relief in the movie. Like I feel like every movie needs that for sure. What else we got?
Hold on. So are these roaches like, do they like, like the Ninja Turtles, to where they were like small turtles and then they grow into like huge turtles, or
Not.
or is it just, well, what happens to the roaches after they drink this water?
I think for sure they could add some maybe. They would have to be like CGI roaches, because I would want like swarms, like the amount of roaches to where it's like uncomfortable, because you can't just have like 3 or 4. You got to have a lot because usually when you see one roach in your like kitchen or bathroom or wherever you may see it, like you already get an uncomfortable feeling like, damn, I got roaches. Like I'm not even a dirty person, but there's roaches up in here. So you just start getting that very uncomfortable feeling once you see one. And in this movie, I would make like swarms of them, like
Because it's like angry swarms. They get like, and it sounds like to me like they might get angry and swarm. Like,
yeah, and they was crawl all over the person, bite their legs up, bite their face up, and of course, like all this would be represented in the movie. So it would probably definitely be a rated R movie. Definitely very bloody and gory due to the amount of roaches attacking someone and biting their face, and
sounds yummy.
that all of that madness. So that's what I would want. And yeah, it would definitely have to take place within like, a city. I think a city makes the best place, maybe even an apartment. That's where like the infestation can start, and then it can branch out and, go around the city, and there'll be like that one main character that survives the attack, and then they'll start unfolding the mystery behind the company and all of that jazz. I think that would be really interesting. As far as the dream cast, I'm not sure who I would want casted. I think I would go for like a young cast, like a young, fun cast. You would need like probably need a good, well-known, guy actor, well-known girl actor. I think I'll probably get like, what's his name? Idris. No, not Idris Elba, but I think his name's Desmond something.
The guy from the F1 movie?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, I forgot his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I would definitely get him. Maybe like Zendaya. Someone else that's really popular. I think those two in the movie. They should do a movie in real life, but I think those two for the lead, and then some supporting characters as well. But that would be the movie I would make. I think both movies sound really good, and obviously they're not gonna get made, but you never know.
By the way, if any movie studio is hearing these ideas and are interested, hit us up. We're interested in making movies too.
Most definitely. All right, well, let's get into our second segment of the show. We actually just came from the movie theater. We saw The Long Walk. It was a new movie released yesterday. It's based on a book written by Stephen King, and it's starring Mark Hamill. A lot of y'all know him from the Star Wars movies, and it's directed by Francis Lawrence. He's not a new director. He's been around for a minute. I'm pretty sure he directed The Hunger Games as well. And yeah, we also have a special guest here on the podcast. She came to see the movie with us. My girlfriend Mariah, she'll be doing the review with us as well. So let's get into our thoughts of the movie. Emmanuel, I'm gonna have you go first. Let me know what your first impressions of the movie were.
All right, first impressions. So first impressions were, I saw the trailer and I was kind of like, it was Stephen King, so I kind of knew what to expect. And so I started watching the movie. They get right into walking, and, it's not long before something happens that, kind of reels you in. And I knew that something like that was going to happen. So for me, it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. It was, it was simple. There was nothing, no crazy special effects, no like complexity story where you'd have to go back and watch it again. It was really simple, straightforward, good movie. You get involved with the characters, and yeah, like long story short, it's a good movie. The rating will say it all. I want to give it like an 8 out of 10.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's slow up a little bit before we get into ratings and stuff. Mariah, what about you? What was your first impressions of the movie? Let me know what you thought at the beginning.
Hey guys, thanks for having me here today. Episode 7. My first thoughts, it started off a little slow. It started off easy, and it kind of like, I like how it started off with the submission letters, like the acceptance that they got.
Sure.
So it like let them know like they got accepted into the walk. And then it starts off and it kind of shows you the characters who are going to be there. And they're kind of like, they're talking, they're getting to know each other. And it kind of almost seems like it's going to be like something for a cause. Like that's kind of how they're making it seem at first. Like this is a good thing that they're doing.
All right. Well, my first impressions of the movie, I wasn't even expecting it to show us those letters in the beginning. I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that these people were going to be like prisoners of war or something. I didn't realize, I didn't know that they like submitted to this. So I thought that was going to be really interesting. And to find that out, it definitely changed, things up for the movie. But that was a really interesting twist for sure. It definitely starts off slow. The movie felt like more psychological than anything. Yeah, for sure.
That's something that I was confused on too at the beginning. I wasn't sure if it's something that they submitted to or something that they got drafted for.
Yeah, that was definitely a twist for sure.
Yeah, I think they submitted for it. Like they wanted to do this.
Yeah. Emotionally, like, how did the movie make you feel, Emmanuel? And what were like the most memorable moments from it for you?
Made me feel. The feelings invoked were, I mean, it's hard for a movie to surprise me anymore, but it would, this was definitely, it was original. So it kind of, I felt kind of like, there was a suspense of it because you don't know what's going to happen. You know they're going to walk, but you don't know what's going to happen on the walk. And there was like the suspense of it. There was some surprise as to, some guys that when they weren't able to walk anymore, they would fall out of the walk somehow. And so, every single person kind of fell out in their own way. And so some of the ways that happened were surprises. So there was some surprise, some suspense. There was definitely some, those were some of the main emotions. Otherwise, it's really hard for me to, you know, get an emotion out of me about a movie anymore. But this one was definitely some surprise and suspense, I'd say.
Did you have like a memorable moment from the movie, or maybe one of the killings that you remember? Anything like that?
Let's just say that the movie could have ended in a few different ways. And the way that it did end, I'm not going to say how it ended, but I will say that the way that it did end was...
Well, we're definitely going to have to talk about the ending. So spoiler warning, if you don't want to know how it ended, I would just come back after you've seen the movie. But go ahead.
But yeah, the way it ended definitely it was definitely like a twist. Like it definitely was a twist, definitely was a conflicted ending. So that's that for me. Like that was what, at the end I kind of walk out and I'm just like, like, oh wow, like it makes you think, it makes you, you don't walk out thinking, oh, that was a happy, that was a good thing that happened. That's definitely not the case.
What about you, Mariah? How did the movie make you feel emotionally? And do you have any really memorable moments from the movie?
I want to say watching the movie, I was definitely on the edge of my seat because the characters do start to form a bond with each other. And you get to know them as the movie plays out. But you already know that only one is going to make it till the end. So you're in suspense, wondering who the next character is going to be, who's going to, as they say, get the ticket. Is that what they said?
That's what they were saying, yeah.
And it's just interesting, I think, seeing all the different mentalities that they have while on the walk. I would say the character, I think his name was Pete. He was definitely the most mentally fit. He was definitely ready to do this. He had his eye on the prize. But memorable moments, I want to say the end too, because when it got down to the last 4, you really don't want any of them to die.
Yeah, because they were so close.
Yeah, they got really close towards the end. And then it was down to Pete and Ray. And you're thinking throughout the movie, just because I feel like they're catering a little bit more to Ray, being that his mom is there, and there's just more of his story happening and being told throughout the movie. So you're kind of thinking that he's going to make it till the end. And then it gets down to the final 2, and Pete decides to hold back. He decides to start walking slow. And then Ray is no, man, you gotta keep going. And then he tells him to keep going, but then he's the one that decides to hold back.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very emotional ending for sure. For me, like I was saying before, the movie is very psychological. So I just had so many questions running through my brain while the movie was taking place, because you have this whole walk set up together. And I thought it was I don't think any of these kids knew each other. Obviously they all submitted, and they were even talking about how, Ray is lucky because we're walking through his hometown now. So that was when he got to see his mom during the walk. But it's just crazy how they all become so friends together so fast. But it's they don't really have a choice, because they're doing this walk together, and it's they're looking around and they know only one of them is going to make it. So that's kind of that's got to be heavy on their mind for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And just the psychology of this movie, becoming friends and becoming vulnerable with these people, but also worrying about the fact that this person could be manipulating you, because we saw that. We saw some people get manipulated and get antagonized into their own death. So it wasn't even about if you were able to do the walk physically, like a lot of mental went into it too. You had to have the right attitude, and some people formed circles and became friends, and some people wanted to do it on their own. Like, let me ask y'all, if y'all were doing this walk, do you think it would be more beneficial to become friends with someone, or do you think you would be better off just doing the walk alone? Like, what do y'all think?
I think it'd be beneficial to have a friend, because if you're trying to do it all alone, I don't know, I'm just one of those people that believes that, you have like, I've seen it to where, you have a group of people in a competition, and those that try to do it on their own, they never win, because when you have like a group of 2 or 3 people and they agree like, hey, let's do something together versus doing something all on your own, that little energy that they have, that little group energy that they have, that's what brings you through a very hard time. The people trying to do it on their own, they don't have that supportive energy. And I think that, people who are in a supportive group, they'll go farther than someone who's just trying to tough it out on their own in most cases. It's not always the case.
Yeah, and I was thinking about how one of them was saying, if I won, I would wish that the walk could have 2 winners, because that changes the whole psychology of the walk. Like, at least somebody will win with you, so it might be worth it to form that
To have a buddy.
relationship. Yeah, to have a friend, and at least someone is gonna make it. If you're gonna be the only one to survive, then it's just like, why even go through the effort of talking to these people? But then it also kind of made me think about real life too. Like, I was in there really thinking, like, just about how you form relationships with people, and like, one of you is gonna die one day, but the only difference is, like, you don't know when you're gonna die. So that's kind of like the beauty of life. You get to live your life out, and it just happens unexpectedly. But in this movie, like, you're gonna die more than likely. Like, like, you think you might win, but also it's just like, yeah, you want to win, but it's just like the people are dying around you, and that thought is looming over your head. Like, if I stop walking, it's over for me. Like, some people just straight up stop walking. Like, they couldn't even do it anymore. They just stopped. Yeah, it was just a lot. This movie was very,
Like the one dude that walked so much he killed himself.
yeah.
Y'all remember him?
There's dudes that were running off the path. Like,
Imagine
were trying to
walking for so long, you're psychologically so tired of walking that you stab yourself in the throat.
Yeah.
That is like horrible.
Okay. That dude, I think that dude also felt a little bit guilty too, because he definitely felt guilty because he got that kid killed, and then
He was the first one to die.
yeah, and then when they were making the pact, like, oh, let's take care of that dude's wife, he wasn't counted in, and I'm pretty sure he felt like alone, like just being shut out from that and not being included in a group. It's like, wow, I'm the outcast here. Like, they're looking at me as the murderer. It was just like probably a lot for him mentally, and it's just like, what's the point? Like,
I think that like those things are the ones that that was like the triggering, like him not being included in the group that was gonna like take care of the guy's wife. That's what triggered the event. But those few hundred miles that he had to walk, like the pain he was in, the psychological anguish he was in, that was like the main driving force of most of his pain and suffering. And then that one little event, that one little thing that he didn't get included in the group, that's what turned the switch. That's what triggered it. And he just like goes and just like stabs himself in the throat. Like, I was just like, that scene, I was just like, oh wow, like that was one of the of all the kills, that one right there, I think, was the one, other than the end, was the one that kind of drew an emotional response out of me the worst, because of the psychological. Like, you can see that I just saw it happen. I saw the trigger, I saw the pain, I saw everything.
got it. All right, so unique factors from this movie. Like, what do you think there was anything unique about the movie, or if it brought anything fresh to the genre? I'm not sure which genre I would put this movie in. Like, maybe a thriller, psychological thriller. Yeah, I'm gonna go with psychological thriller. Mariah, what do you think was unique, or if it brought something fresh to the psychological thriller genre?
It didn't really take you on too many crazy highs psychologically. I would say it was more, I mean, besides the end, but throughout the movie, it was consistent from the people being killed. I'm trying to think of what was like unique.
All right, let me get back to you. What about you, Emmanuel? What did you think anything was unique or brought anything fresh?
I think the simplicity of it, it was just straightforward. It was simple. It was just a non-complicated, simple, straightforward story. But that's also what made it unique. That's what made the movie what it was. That's why people liked it, because you were out here, you weren't worried about much anything else. They were just walking. But, every time someone would fall off, they would get, some warnings, and then they'd get shot. And each and every different kill, each and every different person who's walking story, like how they're falling out or why there's, some guy got sick, some guy had a leg cramp, some guy rolled his ankle, all the things that happen on a several 100-mile walk. This is what makes it unique, is the fact that it was just realistic. It was really realistic. I mean, obviously the situation is not realistic, but the walking part of it is like, this is things that really would happen if you were walking that far. And that it's just that simplicity, that realism. That's what makes it invoke this emotion, I think.
Yeah. For me, I don't think there was, aside from the whole walking thing, I've never seen that in a movie before, so I'll give it that. But I did predict some things from this movie when we did our episode last week. Spoke about the trailer of this movie, and I was saying how I thought Mark Hamill was gonna die at the end, and that's exactly what happened.
You called it.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, I didn't predict the entire movie. It definitely threw me off with the whole lottery thing and then volunteering to do this. We'll get into that in a little bit. But, yeah, I don't think it brought too much fresh to the psychological horrors. I remember the first time I saw this trailer, it made me very uncomfortable. I didn't feel that way while watching it, but it did have a couple crazy graphic moments, dudes like with their ankles completely almost rolled off. A little bit of graphic things here and there. But I mean, the story was still good. I thought it was compelling. I was interested and engaged. The act, we didn't know a lot of the actors other than Mark Hamill, which I kind of like when movies do that, because like I said before, it just gives everyone an even playing field to showcase their talents. I thought everyone did good as far as that. What about any issues with the movie? Did y'all have any issues with the movie? What issues did you have, Emmanuel?
So I didn't have, like, this is me just nitpicking, because I know everyone likes the criticisms, but I'm just nitpicking because the story and the depth of the story didn't go, you really didn't get much. Like, within a few minutes of the movie starting, they're already on the road. Within 5 to 10 minutes, they're already walking. And the entire movie is just, it's set on that road and they're walking. I would have liked to seen just a little bit more story, a little bit more. I mean, you do find out more story tidbits when they're walking, but I would have liked just a little bit more, at least more, before they started walking, or a little bit more after, you know what I mean? Or maybe one little side, I mean, what's happening at home, like one little side thing. It was basically all on this desolate road and all this walk. It was literally like almost nothing else happened. So that's what stopped it for me from getting like a 9 or 10 rating.
Okay. What about you, Mariah? What issues did you have with the movie, if any?
If any, I would have to say, yeah, there wasn't too much outside story other than them on the walk.
Yeah. Well, like y'all, I think that yeah, the movie focused a lot on the walking, and that's kind of what I was saying last week. I was hoping that the movie would have a little bit more than that. They talked about the Ray character, you know, the situation with his mom, and they unfolded that about how like, and even that like was kind of crazy because they just pulled up like there was a scene when they showed the flashback of the main character Ray. He was getting into why he was getting into the walk, and he was the one that wanted to kill Mark Hamill. They just kept calling him Major. That was his name in the movie. Mark Hamill's character, his name was Major. But yeah, he was saying how he wanted to kill Major because they pulled up on him and killed his dad because his dad was doing some teachings. And that also goes into the issue of my movie. There just wasn't a lot on the background. Like, first of all, I didn't even know what time period they were in. I didn't know if they were in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. There were no smartphones, so it wasn't super modern, but I didn't understand why they killed the dad in the first place. They said it was for some teachings that he did that were unlawful, but there just wasn't enough like in the movie for me to understand why that happened in the first place.
The cars, I saw some of the cars were like the 50s and 60s cars.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that was like an old style town in modern times or was it actual?
because every town that they walked past in the movie like was desolate, like it was old, and they said that in the beginning of those letters, like they were saying how you can go into this lottery and do the walk and you'll get enough money, and like these are hard times right now. That's why the people were doing the walk in the first place. But I didn't understand like how hard were the times. Like, was this during the Great Depression or
a recession? Yeah, it was pretty unclear.
It was very unclear as far as what was really going on, like to like have this walk go on in the first place. And the way they talked about it, they said that the walk was going on for a while. So where were they even getting all this money from to give to the winner, and how are they able to do it so long, and why didn't they take that money and just build things up? Like, this is a lot of plot holes in the movie. It still was a good movie, but there were just a lot of plot holes for sure. So for as far as score and recommendation for me, I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10. I would definitely still recommend it. I'm not gonna go out and buy the book after all. Definitely not doing that. But I give it a 7 out of 10 for sure, and I would recommend seeing it. What about you, Emmanuel? What do you give it?
I give it 8 out of 10. I came in knowing it was going to be all about the walk. I knew what it was going to be, and yeah, the ending. I talked about the ending. It drew a huge twist, big reaction out of me. 8 out of 10. I just couldn't get an A because the story was a little bit incomplete, but that didn't make it bad. That just, I knew it was going to be all business. No wishy-washy stuff there. I knew it.
And what about you, Mariah? What score would you give, and would you recommend it?
I would also give an 8 out of 10. I think the movie was very captivating in the talks that the characters had between each other and the psychological effects that it had on each character too, and the different ways that it went. Definitely recommend you go see it.
All right. Well, yeah, y'all should definitely check that out. Let us know if you've seen the movie The Long Walk and what you think about it, or let us know if you plan on seeing it. And that seems to be a good place to stop. So thanks for coming by and listening to the episode, y'all. We will be here next week. And let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments. Have a great day. Bye.